Thank you, everybody. Okay, welcome Vanessa and Kirsty. So we've got our Ahuaki Waipaha Community Special Plan update. Over to you.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you within Chambers this time outside the events roadshow. As discussed, I am providing a quick overview of the community engagement and really to kind of give you an overview of what has been happening, and also to provide an opportunity for you to kind of provide any feedback as well. We are on the third week of community engagement. We have an additional 3 weeks to go. So this is actually a good time to kind of understand what we need to kind of do the same, change, or continue. So as mentioned, the community engagement began on the 13th of February. This year, we had quite a lot of engagement, either internally with stakeholders and with the community. From an internal staff perspective, we held 3 online drop-in sessions happening on Fridays online, the 3rd, 10th, and 17th of February. We also provided a full briefing to the customer service and the library team as well, which are kind of the first of the face of the community engagement when people actually drop into the libraries or on the offices and pick up one of the hard copy surveys. So it was important for them to be knowledgeable about how the engagement will be taken further. We have also held staff briefing to let them be knowledgeable about each event. So before each event, we have a 15 minutes to a 30 minutes kind of briefing with each staff on the follow-up kind of events. We also have held 2 online sessions with stakeholders. Those stakeholders have now received an online form for them to provide feedback, to submit their feedback. We have already received requests for one-on-one meetings as well that we'll be holding during the community engagement. So this is all happening in the background. From a community event perspective, we have held 8 events as of today in Te Awamutu, Karapiro, Te Pahu, and Kihikihi. We also have held 5 presentations with different organization groups. As I mentioned, we're only halfway there, so we have a remaining of 14 events, including presentation until the 27th of March. So still a little bit of work ahead of us. We have also held events with our Plan Change 23 Papakaranga project team. So the Tanuing Games in the early February, on the 11th of February. We also went to have a discussion with Natia Pakura on the 18th of February. So this is actually carrying on as well. And we have another 3 marae to attend to over the next 3 weeks as well. On the back of some feedback, regarding the business community, so our engagement with the business community and with schools and students. We've taken a different approach with our Chamber of Commerce. So we're going now to be we're going to hold a couple of workshops with the Te Awamutu Chamber of Commerce on the 10th of March, and with the Cambridge Chamber of Commerce as well. We're still looking to actually get a date so that this business community can actually have a little bit more involvement in the development of Ahuaki and the drafting of this plan. We are also looking to set up a youth panel with the support of our committee advisors. So Corinne and Gina have been tasked to look into them, and we will be holding a workshop with this youth panel. So we're still kind of looking at who is going to be attending those, and we have a list of schools and different kind of youth groups that we will be actually getting 2 or 3 members, 2 or 3 representatives to kind of join this group as well. And we're looking to get this workshop with this youth panel by the end of March, start of April as well. And from social pinpoint perspective, we had received, as of this morning, 2,820 visits to the social pinpoint website. We have received about 350 comments, and 47 surveys have been actually completed as well. So we're very satisfied with that number of traffic, and it's quite interesting to see that every time that we go to an event, the traffic actually peaks within the evening and with the morning of our event as well. So those events have been really good, although we understand that the schools tend to be more awareness event more than feedback events. We see actually those peaks of social pinpoint and traffic actually coming through throughout. So that's yeah, very, very pleased with the number of traffic we're getting on the social pinpoint platform. And that is it.
Thank you very much. Perfect. Okay, any feedback, everybody? Roger.
Yes, right. Through you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I think congratulations on what you've done so far. I've already said to you directly that I think the collateral that you've developed is very, very good. And I particularly like the floor map because, you know, and the number of people that have said, geez, this really puts our district into perspective, that they can see where all of our population centres are and get a relationship between them, which I think is really good. I've actually had the opportunity to talk with a couple of other organisations. As you know, I'm not backward in coming forward to speak, but I did the other day talk to the stroke, oh, I'm going to say the stroke users group, but it's not stroke users, it's those people that have experienced the stroke, and they're actually quite a good group to actually provide feedback. And the one feedback that came from them is that they are concerned that we are not taking cognizance of the accessibility for disabled users. And they actually mentioned particularly a couple of things which I've asked them to kind of pop down. But even the design of our disabled car parks are not designed for ease of egress for them. So that's maybe one of the areas. The other area is grey power, which unfortunately we couldn't arrange for Isabel to program a meeting in for one of their annual meetings. So I might look to distribute some of our brochures there at the next meeting. A little bit of, you know how I keep going on about population stats, and every time I go on with that. And I realize that this is a concept and it's a trend, and we don't really know what's going to happen when we get to 2050, but we are anticipating good growth. However, I do get concerned that we're not being consistent on using the figures that we have ourselves. The presentation for Cambridge states either 18 or 19K that we're currently standing at, and yet the SA1 data that David Totman presented to us shows Cambridge to currently be 21,500. It's just that I think we need to be consistent with the figures that we're using.
So thank you, Councillor Gordon. You have made that point to us directly, and we have looked into to those concerns that you've raised. I've got a response to be able to send out to yourself and all elected members. I'm sorry, I just haven't been able to action that, but that is one of my priorities for this week, to get that out.
As I say, it's not that important, because the concept that you're saying is there is going to be tremendous growth, and whether it finishes up being 40,000 or 45,000, I don't think that. It's just that that's going to take a lot of managing between now and 28 years' time, which is really only tomorrow in terms of planning.
Thanks, Roger. Yeah, Monty.
Vanessa, you said that you'd had a bunch of requests for one-on-ones. Who are they from, just out of interest?
So there have been some requests from parts of the development community looking at specific areas of the district.
As well. Just add, Chair. We also had NZ Care for the ecological corridor, the Magatatore to Pirangia corridor. So there's a bit of discussion of their reviewed approach as to how to deliver the ecological corridor. We also are talking with Dun Scarlett regarding the dam in Karapiro as well. Yeah, and the energy generation approach to this as well, which is something that Ahuake is not contemplating right now in that initial version of it. There is a lot of work that needs to be carried through before we can kind of look at this aspect of the district as well. But it's a point to be considered in the review of the next Ahuake. Yeah.
And it wasn't that long ago that we had our stakeholder engagement and sitting right there with the airport and field days cluster. Have they been, because they requested to be included?
So through the chair, yes, we have got a meeting. We're working with them to schedule a meeting. I think it's gone in for early April. So yes, that is part of our schedule.
As you recall, one of the priority interventions from Ahuake is actually to look at the master planning of that area. So we are almost kind of kicking off that strategic forum to be put together in the start of April to start those conversations as well with Mystery Creek, the airport, and some of the planning team as well will be joining us on that day as well.
Yes.
Very quick comment. One of the other requests that I know is there that you are responding to is the Cambridge Property Owners Group, that have, of course, a lot of interest in what's happening in the CBD. And I'll be a take because I'm particularly interested in that. But I think they're really interested in what kind of impact does that growth have on commercial property in the city centre, and is there going to be, in that time frame, some more liberal development guidelines that perhaps gives commercial opportunity?
So just to respond to that, that was a sentiment that was shared at the presentation that we made to the Cambridge Chamber, and the request came through on the back of that event. So we are attending that meeting next week, possibly.
No, it's the 21st, Tuesday the 21st.
And Liz is attending with us.
Andrew.
Yeah, look, the three events I've attended, I would call as successful, very successful, probably. And as Roger said, the platform was great. So, well done on that. I was a little concerned that the flyer for the Te Awamutu event I found in my letterbox on Sunday morning. So, yeah, and look, I don't think it was there on Friday. I really don't. And I kind of was a little disappointed in the Te Awamutu event in terms of, I guess, both the number and quality of the participants compared to the other two I'd been at, where there've been some really interesting people with quite, strong points to make and views that they held. So I just wondered if that was something.
Thank you for that feedback, Andrew, and we'll follow up. We have been made aware of perhaps some little blips with our distributor, so we will follow that up as an action.
Okay, Susan.
Just to that, Andrew, I spoke at the Waipa continuing education group on whatever day it was, I lose track at the moment. And there would have been probably 50 or so people in that room, largely Te Awamutu based, and I sort of delivered a whistle-stop tour of the effects on Te Awamutu, less all of the collateral, but I did have a presentation that staff provided me. So it may well have been that potentially some people who could have attended the Selwyn Park or the Te Awamutu Library event probably were caught by that. I was there for a good 2 hours actually, had some pretty robust discussions about all things Waipa and all things local government, but it did start off around Ahuake. So I'm hoping that there may have been an opportunity to catch some of those people at that event.
And I know too the Rotary people had already, so I don't think we've really probably missed a lot. I just felt that there might have been a better attendance too.
We actually recorded about 70 people coming to the TA library event on Friday afternoon. Yeah, so it was, from our perspective, it was quite successful. Yeah.
Mike.
Yeah, I'm just one event I went to in particular out at Karapiro. There was Andrew and I were talking to the same guy actually, and so was Susan, and probably others. But he had some, he's had some really strong opinions, but really good ideas as well. And I sort of said, "Are you going to put these in writing?" And the impression I got was probably not. So I guess that's something. If we hear that, I guess we could probably say at that point, well, hey, do you mind if we drop them down and bang them up for you? I didn't think of it at the time, only afterwards. But, there are some people, like you say, with some great ideas, but they might talk them to us, but they're not going to get to you folk.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think that was probably part of the comment at the beginning. We talked about the Cambridge Chamber of Commerce as well. They made the effort to get there. They're all busy people, and the chance of them actually going online, some of them will, but not all of them, and probably not most of them. So I know exactly the guy you're talking about, because and it was some of the feedback is excellent, but it will only be verbal, and so it's really important that we continue to commit to going to these presentations and community events so that we can try and make sure that we're representing our communities well. Yeah. So Claire.
Yeah, I think it's going fantastically, and congratulations to everyone that's been putting it together. Great vibes, the conversations and the whole atmosphere has been so positive. I just want to give a bit of feedback about the Te Pahu event, which was aimed at farmers, and most of the questions I was asked about was subdivision and environmental restoration incentives. And I just I wasn't prepared for the environmental incentives, and particularly, how do people get assistance with planting and EBLs. So I just thought it might be useful to prepare some, because we've still got some more rural centres that we'll be covering, and chances are, we'll be getting that. So not only the EBLs that Waipa offers, but what the regional council is able to help out with as well. Yeah, cool. Thanks.
All right, everybody. If there's no other comments, I think we'll leave it at that. Thanks, Claire.
Particularly the support of students.